What is up, guys? Welcome to the channel. I want to take this time out to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below, of course, if you agree or disagree with anything that I say. And I think we can get started with some stats, right? If I told you there's a player who was the MVP, 9-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA first team, 5-time All-NBA second team, and 2-time All-NBA third team, with 2 scoring titles and 3 assist titles, I think it would be a consensus first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think people forget that this is who Russell Westbrook is. Russell Westbrook is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he has just decided to join the LA Clippers. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today. I think it's so hard to know what the Clippers could be now, right? In my top 5 teams that could come out of the West video that I did I think that was last week or the week before, I don't really remember. But in that video, I had the Clippers, I think they were number 4. And the biggest reason I had them at 4 was because of their injuries. Because we don't know what their injuries are going to look like, and we don't know what their guard play is going to look like. Because they did get Eric Gordon and they got Bones Highland, both very good guards. They're not really playmakers. They're not really point guards. They're score-first guards. And I think Russell Westbrook is a player who could solve these problems. Right, we know Russell Westbrook is not the best playmaker. He's not the best point guard in the league. He's not anywhere near MVP Russ, but he's still a very good player. He's still an NBA player who was an All-Star like 3 seasons ago, and 2 years, I think it was 3 years ago, where he averaged a triple-double. So it's not like we're that far removed. Yeah, of course, he's lost a step or two, and his athleticism isn't all there. But I think the main conversation we have to have is how much playmaking can he provide, and how much can he push the pace for this team? Because this is a team that really doesn't push the pace too well. And I think that's another issue that the Clippers, I keep saying Lakers because I'm so used to saying Lakers with Russell Westbrook, but if the Clippers could handle, not really handle, but they don't really have anyone to push the pace, right? Kawhi is not really a fast break guy, neither is Paul George. At least not to the extent that Russell Westbrook is. And seeing that this is also a lot better of a 3-point shooting team, I think this will be very beneficial for Russell Westbrook. We could see him actually play a role that he's much more comfortable with. And I think we have to also point out the fact that Paul George and Russell Westbrook played together. And people forget that Russell Westbrook brought the best out of Paul George. That 2019 season was Paul George's best season, where he was in the running for MVP and DPOY in the same season. And if it wasn't for his shoulder injury, they might have been able to go farther in the playoffs. I think people really forget that because of all the pandemic P and all this stuff that's happened since that time. Now, while of course all these are, good things and ideal things that I could say about Russell Westbrook joining the Clippers, I think we also have to play devil's advocate, and we have to look at the flip side, right? For one, the Clippers' injuries, like their injury risk, doesn't go down at all. This is not a player that if Paul George or Kawhi goes out, that he could step up and take that role because of his play style and how much he relied on his athleticism. I don't think that he's a person who's going to solve all of the Clippers' problems, right? And on top of that, while the shooting around him has gotten a lot better, the Clippers, I believe, are like top 5 in efficiency in some efficiency metric. I don't really pay too much attention to stats. I'm more of a little bit of stats, a lot more watching and eye test type of guy. And I think that being on a team that's better shooting is going to be very, 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 very important to Russell Westbrook and his impact, right? We saw him even on the Lakers getting a lot of assists, but you don't really feel like he was playmaking. On this team, he could be a playmaker. He could drive in and he could kick it out to a shooter that's actually going to be able to make the shot, and he could be the one creating the play. But the problem is he's also a player who settles too much for his own jump shot. And we see that, probably because of his athleticism going down, his shot has not been falling. His form it's not the greatest. It's a 2-motion shot, like a set shot, right? And we see a lot of players who rely on their athleticism have this type of jump shot. And as they grow older and lose their athleticism, they don't get enough lift for their shot. And he's a player who will take 50 shots if the team will let him. And I think that's one of the problems that we have to think about. We don't know how much Russell Westbrook is going to be able to adapt to this role. We really don't know that. And on top of that, Ty Lue is a different coach than Russell Westbrook has ever had. I think this is by far the best coaches he's had, at least in the last 6-7 years, right? At least since his MVP season. Ty Lue is a great coach. He's also a no-nonsense coach, which we really don't know if Russell Westbrook is going to be able to handle that. We don't know if he's going to be able to handle being a third or fourth option, right? While we did see him be a second option in OKC to Paul George, which is why Paul George was, an MVP candidate, like I just said. We really don't know how he's gonna turn out in LA. Well, on the Clippers. He's been in LA this whole time. And I think if it wasn't for injuries, I think this would be an A+ signing. And I think that, the Clippers would instantly become the best team in the West competing with the Suns, right? Because those are the two best teams at this point in time. Those are the two best. The best team in the West is the Suns, right? Do I think they're going to win it all? Probably not. Right, if I had to put money on it, I've said it multiple times, I'd say the Celtics and the Bucks are the two best teams in the league, and then it's everyone else. But as far as the West goes, as open as it is, we still don't know how Russell Westbrook is going to look on the Clippers. We don't know how Kevin Durant is going to look on the Suns. We have a lot of question marks on this side of the NBA. And with this injury risk, we don't know how far that Russell Westbrook could take the Clippers in the playoffs, right? We don't know if he was the only star out there for a few games, could he win them a playoff game or two? I don't think so. Not in this stage of his career. Would I love to see it? Of course, right? I listed out these stats at the beginning just to show that people forget who Russell Westbrook is. He is still one of the best players of all time, one of the best point guards of all time. And if he can accept his role, especially under a coach like Ty Lue, I think that the Clippers could make a lot of noise in this year's playoffs. The other big free agent signing, of course, is Kevin Love to the Miami Heat, which is a little bit of a underrated move, quieter move, right? Of course, it's one of the only things that happened this week in the NBA, so everyone's talking about it. But in terms of impact, I think the biggest impact it'll have will be, one, the Miami Heat spacing, a big issue that we've all known for 3-4 years now. Since Jimmy Butler joined the Miami Heat, their spacing has never been good. And also just having another body out there that they can actually play 25 minutes a game, right? While Kevin Love is having a down year shooting wise, I think he's averaging his percentage from the field is like 38% or something like that, in that range, which is lower than normal. He's usually a 42, 43 guy. But I think just having another body out there for the Heat is going to make leaps and bounds of difference. And then when they get to the playoffs, if everyone can stay healthy, they could make a run. Like I said, I still think the Celtics and the Bucks are the top two teams in the league. I don't think the Miami Heat are going to be able to go through them, but I think they could still make some noise and possibly make it to the second or even the conference finals. And just looking at, the available free agents, we have Serge Ibaka, John Wall, Melo, LaMarcus Aldridge, and DeMarcus Cousins. Those are the big name free agents still out there on the waiver. I don't know if any of these players are going to get picked up, and if they do, I don't think that any of them are going to be able to make too big of an impact. Either one, because they're so out of their prime, or they're too much of an injury risk to really be reliable in the playoffs. And I think, this probably a shorter video. Nothing really happened this week in the NBA with, All-Star Weekend and then All-Star Weekend, after post-All-Star Weekend, the break. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up here. Like I said, if you guys like this type of content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.